Hello, it's good to see you again. Today we are going to work on language. The content of today's exercises is compatible with the guidelines of the National Exam of English 2020, which means I just included the stuff that you are going to be examined on. Now that I have said this, let's turn to the exercises. Exercise A. Put the verb in brackets in the correct form or tense. Number 1, when Meg joined us, we already agree, gap on the date of the meeting. Here in this exercise, you need to pay attention to what? To indicators, time indicators. So let's have a look at the indicators we have here. Actually, we have two. We have the verb and we have already. Okay? The verb is in what? It's in the simple past. And already tells us that this event happened before this one. Okay, so what do you think? Which tense are we talking about here? Well, we are talking about this, the past perfect. And the past perfect tense is used to show that something happened before another action in the past. And the form of the past perfect is this. We need the subject plus had plus the past participle. So now it's easy for you to do. You just need to take this form and apply it here. So what do you think? What are we going to do here? Eh? So it's this. When Meg joined us, we had already agreed on the date of the meeting. Okay, it means that this, as I said before, this event happened before this one. And we know this by already. So already is our time indicator here. And it helps me to know which tense I should be using. Now, we are done with exercise A. Now, let's move on to exercise B. In exercise B, exercise B has to do with relative clauses and the correct use of relative pronouns and adverbs. Now, let's have a look at the exercise and see how we can deal with it. So, exercise B, tick the correct sentence. Do you know, so we have two options here. Do you know any good restaurant where I could have local food? B, do you know any good restaurant when I could have local food? So, as I said, only one of these is correct. Okay? And as I said, this exercise has to do with relative clauses. So now let me remind you of the use of relative pronouns or adverbs. The first one we have is who or whom, and they are used to refer to people. Whose is used to show possession, which adds extra information about an object. Where is used after nouns that refer to places. When is used after nouns that refer to times and dates. And why is used after reason. So now let's read the sentence. Okay, again. Do you know any good restaurant where I could have local food? Restaurant is what? It is a place. Okay, so which one do you think we should be we should be choosing, which one we should choose actually. It's the first one, of course, okay? So do you know any good restaurants where I could have local food? So since restaurant is a place, we used where, or we chose the first option. Okay, now we are done with exercise B. Let's have a look at exercise C. In exercise C, you need to rewrite the sentences as indicated. Okay, so now let's read the exercise and show you how to deal with it. Exercise C. Rewrite the sentences as indicated. And we have here two sentences. Number one, Rick joined a language school. He wanted to learn Chinese. Number two, they cancelled the party because of the rain. The party. So for the first one, it begins with in order to. And in order to is what? We use it to express purpose. Very good. Okay? So let me remind you of this again. We use conjunctions of purpose such as in order to, so as to, and so that to say why someone did something. And after so that, we usually use a modal verb. So please remember this. Now let's turn our attention to in order to and to the clauses we have here. We have two clauses here, the main clause and the dependent clause. And we need to use in order to with what? With the dependent clause. Which one of these is the dependent clause and which one is the main clause? What do you think? It's learn Chinese. Very good. In order to learn Chinese is the dependent clause. It means that it cannot stand alone. So, in order to learn Chinese, and here we need a comma. We must put a comma since we started with the dependent clause. And we are going to finish our sentence here. So in order to learn Chinese, remember, comma, Rig joined a language school. Number two. They cancelled the party because of the rain. And the sentence begins with the party. Well, in this exercise, we are dealing with what? With the passive voice. Okay? And the passive voice is used when we want to emphasize the action, the verb and the object of a sentence rather than the subject. And the form of the passive voice is this. We use the subject plus verb to be plus the past participle. Now, let's go back to our sentence. The sentence begins with the party. Okay? And something else we should talk about here is the verb. We need to know the tense of the verb. It's important here. Okay? So what are we going to say here? And as I said, you need to know the tense. So which tense is this? This one is the past simple. Okay? It's simple. Okay? So we need to use verb to be as well in the past simple. Now, let's take this rule and apply it here again. So the party was cancelled because of the rain. So the party is our subject, is verb to be, which is the auxiliary, and it is in the past simple. And we have the verb in the past participle. Now, we are done with exercise, I think, C. We are going to move on to exercise D. In exercise D, you need to give the correct form of the words between brackets. So now let's see what it is about and how to deal with this exercise. So, exercise D, write the correct form of the words in brackets. Number 1, the review gives an interesting, and the word we have here is describe, gap of the best movie of the year. Number 2, the workers have become more, and the word we have here is product, gap after increasing their salaries. Well, in this exercise, as I said, we're talking about word formation. You need to give the correct form of these two words. That's why you need to use appropriate prefixes and suffixes. But as far as this exercise is concerned, it's just about using correct suffixes. And remember that we use suffixes to form new words, like nouns, or let's say to form a new class of words. So here, what do you think? Let's read the first sentence again. We have, this review gives an interesting, and we have describe. An interesting is what? It is an adjective. Very good. So what we need here is what? We need a noun. Very good. So now, what is the noun of describe? Well, it is description. Well done. Number 2, the workers have become more, and we have the word between brackets, product, gap, after increasing their salaries. Here we have more, as you can see. Since we have more, automatically, we should automatically know, or you should automatically know that you're dealing with an adjective. You should find the adjective of product, because more is used to compare between two things. So you need to provide the comparative form of product. So what are we going to say here again? Well, we are going to say this. The workers have become more productive after increasing their salaries. Well, now we are done with exercise D. Let's move on to exercise E. Well, exercise E is about phrasal verbs. Okay, so let's have a look at the exercise again and see how we can deal with it. Exercise E. Fill in the blanks with the right words from the list. Well, as I said, this exercise is about providing or giving the correct phrasal verb. So let's read the first one. Number 1, Latifa gap one of her Moroccan friends when she was in New York. And you have 3 options here. You have came across, came back, came down. Well, now let me help you do this. And I'm going to give you the meaning of the phrasal verb we need here. And you need to guess the correct choice. Latifa, okay, met by chance one of her Moroccan friends when she was in New York. So which one of these phrasal verbs means to meet someone by chance or by coincidence? It's what? It's this. Came across. Latifa came across one of her Moroccan friends when she was in New York. It means they were not planning to meet. Number 2, we need to gap early because the train leaves at 6 a.m. And here we have stand up, wake up, and take up. So this one should be easy for you. So what do you think? Which one we should be using here? We need to wake up. Very good. We need to wake up early because the train leaves at 6 a.m. Well, now we are done with exercise E. Let's have a look at exercise F. Well, exercise F is about collocations. You should choose the correct word which collocates. Okay, now let's have a look at the exercise and tell you how to do this. So, exercise F. Okay, fill in each blank. Okay, fill in each blank with the appropriate word from the list. Okay. So as I said before, this exercise is about collocations. Okay, and let me remind you of what we mean by collocations. A collocation is 2 or more words that often go together. So for number 1 here, okay, so let's read it. Okay, so women activists are still fighting gap discrimination in the workplace. Now we have gender, machines, population, and children. So my question to you is, which one of these, as I said before, collocates with fighting? Okay, what do you think? Not fighting, I'm sorry. Which collocates with discrimination. I'm sorry, again. So which one, as I said before, which one of these collocates with discrimination? Okay, so you should know it by now. So women activists are still fighting gender discrimination in the workplace. Number 2, we should work together to help street gap with food and shelter. Now again, we are going to choose one word, okay, which collocates with street. So what do you think? Which one of these collocates with street? It's children. Street children. Okay, so street children simply means children with no place to live in. So now again we are done with exercise F. Now we are going to move on to exercise G. Well, exercise G is about expressions and their corresponding functions. Okay, so let's read the exercise, okay, and see how we can do it. So exercise G. Match each expression with its appropriate function. So as you can see, on the left we have expressions, and on the right we have functions. So number 1, we have, could you fill in this form for me? So what do you think? What does could you fill, or could you, we're talking about the expression, what does it express? What do you think? Does it express suggesting, complaining, or making a request? And the correct answer, of course, is making a request. Very good. Number 2, I'm sorry to say this, but the food is too salty. So now, what do you think? What am I doing here? I am what? I am complaining. Well, that's all for exercise G. Now we are going to move on to exercise H. So in exercise H, you need to provide or complete the exchange given here. Okay, and in this exercise, you can probably say anything. Any answer is accepted. You just should respect the context. So now let's have a look at the exercise and see what we can do. So exercise H. Complete the following exchanges appropriately. I think that robots will replace teachers. Okay, so here you just need to either agree or disagree. Okay, so for example, in this exercise, you can say this. I am not sure about that. Robots can never replace teachers. Okay, so now we are done with exercise H. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you found the exercises of today useful, and see you next time.